All right. Good evening and welcome to today's Q&A session with Ravi Purohit, who's our IELTS mentor here. Today on this session, we're going to be talking about Ravi's preparation strategies and his tips and tricks to get a 7.5 band overall on your IELTS exam. So, Ravi, please go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about your journey here with LeapScholar.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shivang, for the introduction. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Ravi, and I joined LeapScholar in March, and I gave my IELTS exam in March as well. So I got to know about LeapScholar through the YouTube video. Like I was scrolling through YouTube, and then I got the ad. And I think most of you would have joined LeapScholar through that as well. So it was a great, like when I got to know about masterclass, I joined masterclass from Mohammed Asif sir, and then I eventually joined the 2 weeks batch. So it was kind of, I booked my exam 1 month back, but I was not even actually focusing on my studies that much on my preparation. But when I joined the classes, and it was a time where it was exactly the time when it was ending and my exam was on the next day. So it was a right time, I would say, and the right organization, I would say, institute which I joined. And I had a great time learning from Manisha ma'am, 2 weeks batch. It was a great. So yeah, that's all. Finally I scored 7.5 in IELTS, and yeah, I'm here with you all.
That's great. That's great, Ravi. Let's say hi to a bunch of people who joined us here on YouTube. So, hi, Fizzer. Hi, Jashan. Hi, Suman. Hi, Asdeep. How are you guys doing? So also on the panel today with us are Deepti, Mansi, Meghna, Vinay, and Vincent. Uh, they're going to be going ahead and introducing themselves and telling them about how they got to learn about LeapScholar and their journey here with us so far. So please go ahead and please introduce yourselves. We will start with Deepti. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Deepti Verma Arthur, and I came to know about LeapScholar through Instagram. I wanted to prepare for IELTS. I was looking out, many hashtags and many different pages. So thanks to Instagram sponsor videos and
Right, right.
posts, I got LeapScholar there, and then I just clicked on it and I registered it because I wanted to start something. So after joining LeapScholar, I actually joined a morning batch, 7 o'clock batch. Namita Jaiswal, she takes the batch.
Right.
So I'm not a morning person. So I many days I've missed her classes, but I make sure that the next day, as soon as the recording is up, I just watch that recording like 2-3 times in a day if I have any doubts or if something I want to learn over and over. So it's thundering. So her classes, I even with the recordings, when I'm not able to interact with her, they are so informative and I'm able to understand everything from those recordings itself. So I actually didn't push myself to get up in the morning for that. But yeah, if I have to interact with people and take feedback, for that I have enjoyed the master classes. I have really enjoyed the speaking clubs. They are the best, I feel, because talking among family and all, that will give you a good sense of English. But they will not tell you your mistakes, right? So just to know your mistakes, I really appreciate. So Kannan sir is taking my speaking clubs, so I really enjoy those clubs, speaking club, and the I wait for it because I get to know that there are other people like me who are making same mistakes. I'm not the only one, and there is somebody who can correct us and motivate us to go on with the right one. Because as people say, practice makes man perfect, but you can't practice the wrong thing. So we should know our mistakes. So for that, speaking club was the best place for me, and I've
Right.
learned and I have improved. I myself feel that I have improved
That's
through
great. That's
speaking
great.
classes.
That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you for your insight on LeapScholar. I'm glad you're happy with whatever we have to offer you for you.
I
And
might once this is over, I might go ahead and take another for the second batch again.
I would love to have you on board.
Not that I didn't understand things, but
Right.
I enjoyed it so much.
Of course.
Learning after school days, or I should say after college days, learning again is a good thing.
Right.
And learning should never stop. It's a continuous process. It should go on.
Of course. And we're really glad that you're even considering joining another batch so that you can just improve upon whatever, fallacies that you might have through your IELTS journey. So we'll move on to Mansi next. Mansi, who is not visible to us right now because Delhi NCR is facing a huge a thunderstorm right now, and that's primarily why we're not able to see her, because her and I both have power cuts right now. And that's primarily why we're not visible too well. So Mansi, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about how you found out about LeapScholar and your journey with us so far.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Mansi Gautam, and my story is quite similar to Deepti. So even I came to know about LeapScholar through Instagram, and since the algorithms, it shows everything that you search on Google on Instagram. So I that sponsored video, it just popped out,
Right.
and I immediately joined LeapScholar because it wasn't too costly, and I was looking forward to just getting some insight into the IELTS. I am absolutely new. I have recently just got an interest of going and studying to abroad. So I wanted to know how does everything work. And then I was introduced through LeapScholar, and I joined a 2 weeks batch with Ravjot ma'am earlier, which was again a practice batch.
I think Mansi froze. The internet connection must
And
have.
her orientation class. Am I audible?
Yes. Please continue.
Where did you lost me?
Please, just go on from wherever you stopped. Let's not.
All right. So I joined Ravjot's mom's class that was in the morning at 7. And again, not being a morning person, I struggled a lot to wake up in the morning. I missed the orientation class, but I made sure that from the next day onwards, I am there in the class. I attended her speaking session, and she evaluated quite well. So I thought that this was something that I was looking forward to. And then after that batch got over, I joined another batch, a 4 weeks batch with Manisha ma'am. I am a student with her. So yeah, there's
Correct.
something new to learn in batch. So I am just looking forward to that. All right.
Great. That's great. So we move on to Meghna now. Meghna, please go ahead.
Hey guys, my name is Meghna and I've been part of the LeapScholar community for about 4 to 5 weeks now. So I joined the 4 weeks LeapScholar Crash Course Plus batch by Malvika Sharma. She is an excellent tutor, and I just wanted to say, I think we have an Instagram army here because, like Deepti and Mansi, I've also got to know about LeapScholar through Instagram, and I just clicked on the course and I went
Right.
ahead. I thought it would be useful for me, and it was. It was really insightful. I don't think I would have started preparing for IELTS seriously if it were not for the classes.
Well, I'm glad to see so much Instagram engagement with our students right here. So hey, kudos to our Instagram team. And yeah, we move on to Vinay now.
Hi everyone. So I'm Vinay. So earlier I've taken IELTS a couple of years back, but unfortunately due to COVID, my score had expired. And I'm not sure, I got 7.5 at that time, but I'm not sure how did I get that.
Right.
I lost my confidence in this couple of years.
Right.
So when I was thinking about taking IELTS again, and thanks to Facebook algorithm, I got the advertisement of LeapScholar. So I thought of why not give it a try. At least it would be useful for my writing module or speaking module. It would be helpful for me. And I got 6.5 earlier in writing and speaking. So I just wanted to improve my score higher. I mean, a little bit more. So And so far, LeapScholar had been really helpful for me because the speaking club is, I believe it's amazing because the tips which they have given me, I think I'm working on it. It is to the point where I'm going wrong and where I have to work. So if we get to know our mistakes and if we keep on working on that, I think we'd be able to make it. So I'm quite confident that I would be able to get a higher score this time.
Of course, Vinay, and we'll make sure that with you with us, we'll make sure that we get to reach the goals and ambitions that you've set for yourself for your IELTS exam, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that happens for you. So thank you for being part of LeapScholar. And for lastly, Vincent, who's another student here with us, please, Vincent, introduce yourself.
Shivang, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great to be here with you guys. I'm a journalist basically, and I work with the ecosystem. It's a day in and day out job, right? So it's important for me to always push my limits, challenge myself, and understand what my parameter and set my bar higher for myself. That's the reason why I'm taking the IELTS exam. And unlike others, I like to start my day early. And that is when I started researching and trying to understand who can help me better out, right? And of all those other people out there, I somewhere felt that LeapScholar is good, simply because of the kind of research I did, on the net. I was, to be very honest, I was very skeptical when I signed up for it because I am not a person who can study online. Right, I need to talk to people in person while I'm studying. That's the way I've been brought up from my childhood. But once I started taking the classes from the very first day itself, and yes, I have enrolled myself for the 7 a.m. 8 a.m. batch with Namita Jaiswal, and from the very first day, she's been a very good mentor, a very good teacher, and she's taught us a lot of things. So I think my English is, being a person who lives in Bangalore, English is, I wouldn't say second language. I would rather say it's bread and butter for most of us living in the city, right? Because we just can't exist without that particular language, right? So I thought my English was pretty good. But after I finished my classes, couple of classes, whether I understood that no, they are higher levels to achieve, right? And I need to push the boundaries, and that is where Namita proved that by constant guidance and constant hand-holding sessions, you can get to that par, right? And I've learned a lot in these couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward for the next couple of weeks as well. And additionally, very challenging kind of sessions, very challenging kind of, if I can use that term again, challenging kind of homework that she gives, just pushes us to the boundaries to prove ourselves that because we're not competing with anybody here, we're competing with ourselves, right? And
of course.
Irrespective anybody who's just a college student or somebody who's like me in a professional field wants to just be better, and you're just struggling and striving towards your own self. She's helped us to become that person that we always strived for. And I think I might take up another session as well, just depending on the kind of free time we have right now.
Right.
Looking forward for next coming few weeks.
That's great. And thank you everyone for your such insight into your own lives and how you have gotten to know LeapScholar and how you've carried on your journey with us so far. And we hope that we can have a longer relationship formed with you, and one that lasts for throughout as you go forward from here. So now we're just going to start with a few questions that you might have about the IELTS exam itself. They would want to ask our mentor right here. So anyone who has a question, please go ahead. Anyone who has a question, raise their hands and we'll take them one by one. Okay, Vincent. So we'll take you first.
Sorry, I suddenly barged in, but I'm dying to ask this question
please.
to Ravi. Ravi, you've been, you've written the exam before, and being there, it's a completely different feeling while being here. I'm preparing myself, right, for it, but you've been through that journey. So there's this strong notion of writing a competitive exam, be it IELTS or be it
I'm not sure
anything.
if Ravi is in the meeting. I think he is connected. We'll just try and get him back.
Okay, sure.
I know, right? Because since we stopped schooling, we've been writing competitive exams so much. So
Okay.
even IELTS, when we are not competing and we don't have ranking system, we still have that feeling that it's a competitive exam.
Of course, of course, of course, and that makes sense. Like that's basically how we've been like brought up throughout our childhood. In the sense of competition, and it's a rat race. You have to work hard and make sure that you're winning. Otherwise, everything is futile. But
Sorry, I lost my work.
Ravi is back,
Okay.
and Vincent,
Okay,
please go ahead
awesome.
and ask a question.
All right. So Ravi, I was saying, you're a person who's already given the IELTS, right? And I'm a person who's on the other side of the fence right now. So give us so this is a competitive exam, and whenever you end up writing a competitive exam, you have a strong notion of saying, or rather, if I can use this word, strong fear of saying, are you going to crack it? How tough is it going to be? Yes, I'm preparing myself, but the question and doubts always loom around your thought process, right? So give us a little insight about how was your experience when you wrote the exam, what kind of challenges you faced, and any tips you could share with us that can just help us fight that inner fear, inner devils within ourselves.
Right, exactly. I think this is a very good question you asked, because this is a kind of experience everyone goes through whenever you write exam. It's not IELTS or any other exam, right? In my case, it was like I generally, what I do, I take a break just before a day. I try to take a break so that I just try to calm myself and focus on other things, so that I don't think about, because I think a lot about whenever I'm giving something which is very important. I think a lot about it, and it might end up like being on the wrong side for me. So I try to calm myself, try to focus on different things just there before, maybe at least take few hours of break, even if you are preparing just before your exam, like tomorrow is your exam, you're preparing, maybe by 5 or 6 o'clock, just close it, everything. Just take a break, just enjoy it. And when next day when you're going, what I did, I make sure that I'm on time, before time, basically. That's something which I always try when I'm traveling. And if it's something where I'm going to give an exam, I make sure that I'm on before time, so that just to make sure that whatever the formalities are there or whatever is required, I can do it in the time, right? So because if you run late, right, if you are reaching it out late, then your focus disturb you don't have a great focus in that case, because your energy will be utilized in a different thing, because you need to make sure that everything's going fine on. So that's how I work on, like, whenever I have exam, not even IELTS, even something else, when we were preparing for our 12th class or like competitive exams, or even in the colleges. So that's how it is. Like, I try to be sure that I'm on time, so that I can just make sure that everything's perfect, and then I can just go into the exam. And if we talk about the exam, like when we are in the exam hall, it's kind of a different feeling. It's like when you go there, you just need to make sure that everything goes fine. You just need to feel that, okay, this is going to be for continuous 3 hours. You cannot move, right? So just to make sure that you are prepared for it, you have those settings. Like, even if you are not, when you're practicing, try to have those settings continuous, try to give those exam for like 3 years, so that you will have an idea of how to be there in the exam, basically. So that's how was my preparation for
Right. We're just gonna quickly take a couple questions from the YouTube chat right here. So Kanapi here asks us that how does one get a 7 having just the basic knowledge of English? How does one get at least a 7 on the IELTS exam with just the basic knowledge?
See, from my perspective, it's totally depend on person to person. Even if you have a basic knowledge, it depends how you grab the knowledge. Like, in case you need to have the coaching, which is very important, because even like they mentioned in their introduction that, like, for example, take about Vincent English is very good, but then still he wanted to challenge himself, or like for a Deepti, he wanted to make sure that she is good, right? So in that way, it's important that you take coachings with institutes and then learns what exactly required. It's just not just the basic of English, or the English how you may be speaking very, very well, right? Or you may be speaking normally, right? But then it's not what it's more about the concept or the way of the exam is. You need to focus on that. So try to master the way the exam is happening, the tricks, and that will basically help you more. in terms of getting the right score.
Right. Great. Another question that we have from our comments here is that Aparna Sudhir asked that what are the benefits of LeapScholar that other counselors are not able to provide us? So if you
I'll
could,
tell you.
yes,
So
please.
for me, I took 2 weeks of crash course just before my exam. I think that was enough for me to prepare well and give my exam. And secondly, when you are taking your classes with LeapScholar, you are getting a lot of chances to talk with different people, right? You have a big group. I was in Telegram group. I got a chance to make new friends. I got new friends, and where I was connecting with them to have those one-to-one session with them. Like sometimes I'm speaking, sometimes they're speaking, and we are correcting it ourselves, right? At the same time, I got a chance to get a speaking session with 4 to 5 teachers, right? One was in my class, then you get we got 3 speaking slots. One which was basically open for everyone. So in that way, it turned out that every time when I went for a speaking class, it was different tutor, and that helped me a lot. Because everyone has different perspective, everyone has different way to help you out. So you just need to grab those tricks and all and see which one works for you. So yeah,
Great.
I would definitely suggest you to go for LeapScholar, because the environment you will get it, you will not get it anywhere. Because I have done this. So I was part of some other organization. I tried to do my IELTS class and it worked out seriously. And
Right.
when I realized that I should go for LeapScholar, and
Great. Now we're going to take a few questions from our panelists right here. So we'll have Meghna, please go on, ask your question.
Hey Ravi. So basic question, which exam did you opt for, the PBT or the PBT? And what was your experience? Like did the COVID situation affect it in any way? Did you find trouble because of that?
right. So I think around March, it was not that much. I think that the numbers was lower. So I was able to go to the center. So yeah, so I appeared for PBT, which was paper-based, because I was not sure how the keyboards will be at the CPT centers. Because when it's come to writing, you need to have a proper way. Because when you're working, you have your laptops, you habitual to it. But when you're going to center, you never know what kind of keyboard. That was my fear in my case. So I appeared for PBT because we born and brought up with in those manner only, that every exam we are giving by paper based, right? So just to trust my guts, I went with paper based. But yeah, it totally depends on person to person. It's not one is better, one is not. It's totally on person to person. For me, I was more comfortable with paper based.
Right. Great. We'll take Mansi's question next. Please, Mansi, go ahead and ask your question.
Question is in continuation with Meghna's. So while preparing for your PBT, how did you manage your time? I am very bad at time management and writing my papers. So how did you exactly overcome that situation, writing your
Right.
exam within the time limit? You don't have time to look at the watch again and again, na? So
Right.
how did
So
you do
it
that?
comes with the practice. First of all, you need to have a lot of practice, and then it depends on your understanding about the English, the way you actually understand the right meaning or not, right? So you need to have that kind of SWOT analysis of yourself, that okay, these are the sections which I'm very good at it, right? And these are the sections which I'm not good with it. So you need to focus more on time on the one which you are not good with it, and the one which you are good with, try to give them an hour or 2 hours in a day. But the one which you are not comfortable, try to give more hours to them, right? So in that way, you will know where are the mistakes you are making. And with LeapScholar, you get a chance to get it corrected, evaluated with the tutor, right? So that's a good opportunity. Everything is there. The base is there. The platform is there. You just need to utilize it more effectively. So if you write a essay or something every day, you will be very good, because but one thing is that just writing or doing exercise, I heard a lot of people when I was there that one came up saying that, ma'am, I practice a lot. I did all the 15 Cambridge practice test, but still I'm not getting the score. It's not about doing the practice. It's more about learning from your mistake, right? What kind of mistake you did. In my case, I was scared of true, false, and not given in the writing, in the reading section, right? And it scared me hell out of it. So what I did, I worked on more on those questions. so that I can make sure that I'm not doing those mistakes much.
Great, great, great. Thank you for that question, Mansi, and thank you for the answer, Ravi. We'll take Vinay's question next, and we'll move on to Deepti after.
Yes. So Ravi, while I was giving my IELTS earlier, I was asked a question like, tell me about a park you have recently visited. But I haven't visited any park. I mean, I can count it on my fingers, and that was long back. So I couldn't get the idea. I couldn't get any thought how to proceed on that, and I just covered for 1 minute, and later on the instructor was prompting me to cover one more task over there. So how to approach those kind of questions while in the speaking session?
Right. One thing you need to make sure that the one who is sitting there won't judge you if you say it false or if you say it right. Right. They don't matter. It doesn't matter whatever you are saying it. Like you're saying a right thing or like actual your experience or it's a fake experience. Right. What matters is that you cover those points which is there in the question and you cover it up in the given time. Right. So like in the cue card. Right. It's more about just go with the flow. Right. You just whatever is coming to your mind, just say it. Don't judge that, okay, I didn't had this experience, but how should I say that? It doesn't matter. So just try to, so in case what you can do is with LeapScholar, I think you would have got a lot of cue cards. I'll say it like in my case, the cue cards, which the question cue card I got it from LeapScholar, it was the 6th one, which I got it. So it was covered. Like when they say it's coming from that, try to make sure that you go through all of them, right? Because this will give you an idea. And that's where this speaking clubs in the practice, because that's where you get a chance to practice more on the different, because that time it comes randomly, right? The cue cards come randomly. That's give you an idea how good you are when it comes, like when it's sudden, right? How good your ideas are, how good. So in that way, you can work around those that, okay, if I'm not getting ideas, I need to work on those. Maybe when you're practicing your own, try to take a random cue card and try to work on it, right? When you're not in the class. In that way, you will able to grab those, you will get an experience how to work on those mistakes. In that way, you can, when the actual exam comes, you will be ready. You will be prepared for those exams, for that exam.
Right. Thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Vinay, for that question. We'll move on to Deepti now. Deepti, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was a little confused with the question you just answered. You got the same question that you practiced during LeapScholar classes?
No, not the practice one. The one, so they basically give you a list of cue cards, right? You should, if there are chances that it can come from it. So if you go through it, like there are 36 or 42 cue cards which were given to us that this duration it can come, right? So I went through all, and one of them came up.
Wow.
So it's not the one which I was practicing, but the one. So it's
but
basically
still you were
there.
familiar with the topic.
I wasn't. In way I was, but I was not that ready. Like in terms of I have already given it, right? Once the one when you are in practice and you got a topic, right? Next time when you get it, you will definitely do it better than that first time, right? But when you're not, then still there is a, you feel like, but it's more about you say it openly, like you go in a flow. It's like I would say it's like there are people who are there to listen to you, and you just go and give it your best in that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So my question was actually about reading section. I am like very, very scared for reading every day. No matter how much ever times I try it, I am not able to cross my score, beyond 6, or maximum I'll test 6.5. But I don't know where am I going wrong? Because every time I have different mistakes.
Okay.
In one, I mean, if I have given 10, out of those 10, 2 will be spelling mistakes, 2 will be regarding true false, the other 2 will be regarding fill in the blanks. So every time I get different kind of mistakes. I don't know why. So how do you go about that?
Right. So in that case, in my case, I was much more confident in terms of listening and reading rather than the writing and speaking. So that was my scary part. In your case, it depends on person to person. For reading, I would say there are different ways, tricks, right? So maybe you need try to work on this understanding whether you are taking a right meaning out of it, because that's where the questions are, right? When you see the question, you might get a different meaning out of it. Like, okay, there's a passage for it. You go through the para 2 and you see there's an answer it. But then you need to figure out, is it the right answer? Because it might be possible it is available in the different para as well, right? So you need to have that understanding. Okay, this is how you can work on. Secondly, what you can do is there are different. One is where you first look at the passage and you see, okay, you just went through it and then you look at the question. Other way around is go through the question, look at the question and see which question you can answer it from the passage, right? When I was in exam, and trust me, it depends. Like, you should know 2-3 ways so that when the time comes, you're able to do it once, one of them, right? Because if I'm stuck with one of the way doing it, and if I found, like, for example, I understood that this is the way which is right. Like, for example, I will go first read the passage and then go to the question, right? But in case when I'm actually giving the exam and if I messed up, then I don't have any other option, right? So try to have, whenever you get an option, 2-3 ways, try to work around all the ways, so that in exam you never know which will work out. For me, in my exam, I found it that the first passage was more harder than the other ones, right? The way first 2-3 went up, it was become easy for me. So in the first, what I did, I tried to look at the question and then find the answer it. And if I'm not finding an answer, I'm just still moving it to the other question, because it somewhere you know that it's in the manner, right? Because there are few type of questions which will be in the manner. Like if it start from the para 2, the answer will be afterwards only. In some way, it's jumbled up, right? So you need to understand what type of questions are, and accordingly you prepare for it. So for like when I was in the exam, I tried this and it worked out, because when I was not getting the answer, I just left it. I worked on the other question and tried to cover up as much as I can, because they say 20 minutes for each para. I took more in first para and slowly it was less. But last, when I was on the third, it was 50 minutes, but I was able to cover it up. So
I have noticed that, sometimes they say that first para will be easy, then second para will be a little harder, and third will be the hardest. But even I have noticed that many times the third para is more easier than the other two.
That depends. It also depends on the way, like the language of the paragraph, right? Language of the passage. Sometimes some passage you find it harder. Maybe for someone else it would be easy, right? So it depends person to person as well.
All right, great. Thank you, Deepti, for your question. We'll take another couple from our YouTube comments. Mandeep Kaur and Tripti Tarun ask any tips that you might have for beginners out there trying to get into, preparing for the IELTS exam.
Okay, well, everyone goes through that stage when they are beginner, but it depends on like the environment you have brought up. Maybe somewhere you get a chance to speak well, like you started speaking very early. Somewhere you get it when you go to college or somewhere, right? So what I would say is try to watch more movies, because in my case, I'm just taking my personal experience I'm talking about. From the college, I actually started speaking. I was able to understand everything. But I was not able to speak a lot, right? So I started working on my speaking skills when I was in my college, because after that, it's an open world for you. So you need to fight yourself for your seat. So that's where you need to work on it. If you're in college, try to watch movies, try to speak, right? If you are in class, try to find mates which speaks English, right? So in that way, you will build up confidence in speaking. Similarly, read novels, but because that way you will understand. Try to figure out, have a good vocabulary, because those novels will give you a good vocabulary in terms of learning a new words, right, which can have a similar meaning, synonyms. So in that way, it would be helpful, and it's very useful in terms of reading, because there will be some questions where they will put some different word, and in the answer they will give you that these are the list of answers, points, words. You need to put it in the fill in the blanks, right? And that's where the synonyms works a lot, right? So you need to know the different meaning. Words have the same meanings, right? So in that way, you can work around. I hope so. I have.
Yeah. So another question that we have here is by Maitri Malik, who asks, how do you manage the fluency and ideas of portraying answers simultaneously? Because they speak great English in their own mind, but when it comes to speaking in front of others, they get stuck in each sentence. So how do you manage the fluency and the flow of ideas when it comes to speaking?
First thing, never think that someone's going to judge you. That's the foremost important. That the other person who is sitting just front of you is not going to judge you. He is there to see where you stand in your speaking, right? Work on the skills, work on the pattern of it, right? You need to understand what's the pattern, right? First task and the task 3 is where you need to answer for 3-4 lines, right? Cue card, when it comes to task 2, you need to speak for 2 minutes, right? So you need to have a strategy accordingly. And when you talk about like speaking, I would say try it out on the mirror. Best way, try it on mirror. Just
Right.
and or what you can do is have different, or you can record yourself. That's way it will give you where are you lacking, if you are doing any grammatical mistake, or the way you're pronouncing it's right or not. That's where you can work around. So
Great,
it matters, and you need to have that environment. So if you don't have, then just build it up.
Of course. Thank you, Rohit, for that answer. So now we have another bunch of questions from our panelists right here. So in that order, in this specific order, we'll take them. We'll take Mansi first, Meghna then after, Vincent, and then Vinay. Yeah. So Mansi, you can go ahead and ask a question.
I think you're on mute.
Mansi, we can't hear you.
Not yet.
Still not able to hear you, Mansi, unfortunately.
She might be having a network.
Yeah. Probably, yes.
Mansi, how about we take you after? We'll go with Meghna now, and then whenever your mic starts working again, we'll take you. Yeah, Meghna, you can ask your question.
Yeah. Firstly, sorry, I'm experiencing a power cut, unfortunately. I'll just shoot out my question. So, Ravi, I have been preparing for IELTS about 2-3 weeks now, and I have realized that listening is where I struggle. Because you've already mentioned that you didn't find listening that hard, it was not the hardest module for you. Could you just give me tips on time management? Because when we get time to go through the next set of questions in the next section, was that enough for you? And how did you go about that?
Right. I think time management is very important skill, which is you required for these types of exam. And like I said, I was confident, but it's not, you need to be confident. You need to see whether you actually do it, because when the time comes, that's what actually going to count it, right? So I would say try to work around, try to listen, right? Try to listen, maybe watch Netflix or watch English, which basically helps you out, right? Because you need to have a habit of listening the way they speak. This is very important, because when you talk about listening, it's totally depend on the way you actually grab it. Maybe they are pronouncing it differently, the some word, and you're taking it wrongly, right? You're taking some other word out of it, and that's where the mistake happens, right? So you need to work on those. When you start working on those, then you can work around the time management, where you practice it more, right? Try to do a 1 or 2 audio every, like maybe in day or something. Try to do it more. So once you have habitual to it, then it would be easy. And before exam also, I heard like teacher used to say that for you, it would be very useful that before going to exam, have some audio with you, right? In mobile or something, and try to listen to it. So that before, when you are entering into the exam, you have the, in your mind, it's already there that you listen to it, some kind of, so that you're comfortable when the listening, because listening is the first thing which will come up, right? So better to have something, listen to it, something before you enter into the exam, before they take your mobile from you. So.
Great. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Shivank.
Please,
I just have a follow-up back. So were there any particular websites or resources that you were using apart from LeapScholar, especially for mock tests? For listening?
So on the British Council, you have on the website, you can find the audios, which is useful, because if you hear, so for practice, I would say these are the best way to do it, because you will get an idea the way the question comes in, right? The way the lady or someone is speaking. Just for your more to be habitual to the way they are speaking, watch more series, right? But when it comes to the particular that exam, try to do more practice from these websites, because that will give you a sense of the way they speaks, the way the question will be coming up.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much, Ravi.
Great. We'll move on to Vincent's question next.
Ravi, my greatest nightmare is any question which has a graph or a picture in it, right? So I've taken these mock tests, and I've understood that I'm considerably okay with answering any question, or be it listening or reading, when there's no picture or graph in it. But the minute I see a picture or graph, it just sends shivers down my spine. So tell me how to combat that particular scenario. How do you answer and deal with it?
So if you have samples, right? Samples helps a lot. Try to see a few samples out, see the way they are working around, right? The way they are saying about the points. Try to cover. So there will be static values, right? In numerical value. Try to have those in your passage when you're writing down those essay. Try to have those there, because that will give you like, okay. And this is how I did a wrong thing. Like I messed up my writing. You see my score is 6, and that's where it comes, where my mistake might help others as well. So in my case, it was like I learned that the weightage task to have more weightage than the task one, right? So in my mind, I was crazy. I was like, let me do the task 2 first and then go to the task 1. And that actually I lost a lot of time into, because my paraphrase of task 2 took a lot of time. And what I could have done is that so normally they say focus on 20 minutes on the task 1 and then 40 minutes for the task 2, right? I would say have it 15 minutes for task 1 and then 5 minutes to just go there, because even if you go it in a 1 minute, you have more time for a task 2, and task 2 is where you need 10 minutes. If you are very good in that, then that's good. If you're like me, who need to work on the paraphrasing, then 10 minutes where you need to work on paraphrase, and then you write the main part of it and the conclusion. But coming to your point on how to work on the graph, I would say practice is the only answer. Try to see what values they are working. Try to see the samples, because that will give you an idea the way the structure is and how you can work around it. Sometimes it's like, and if you see a lot of samples, you might get a same question as well. So it will maybe possibility that, but it's better you go through it, you understand, see the structure, how they are working on it, what kind of value, like what the way they are taking up. Like if for starting, they are just talking about the paraphrasing, they're just talking about the main part of it, right? And then they're talking about in the depth of the graph. So you need to it's a trick there. You just need to understand how to put those value into the word. If you're good with it, I think if you work around it, you would be a great thing. For sure.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Ravi. Vinay has another question. So Vinay, please go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, Ravi. So when it comes to writing task 2, I mean, when we have to write few synonyms, right? Is it like paraphrasing that particular thing and writing a different words for that particular question? Or is it like adding like some fancy words, or how should we approach in that?
I would say it depends. Secondly, don't write it what is there already. Don't add a word. Try to see, like, if you know the synonyms, right? You know the different word, then you can actually paraphrase in a different way, having the same meaning. So it's where your vocabulary helps you a lot, right? If you know the words of same meaning of different words, then basically you can work around and make a paraphrase out of it. So there it's basically done. It depends on the vocabulary where you can actually work around the paraphrase.
Right.
Do you have just one more question?
Right. Go ahead.
Did you follow anything like for improving your vocabulary?
I think best way, what I heard from my mentor or someone who was guiding me, they said that try to have 10 words, learn 10 words every day. I never did it. Like I did for a few days, few weeks, and I would stop it. But yeah, it depends. If you have a reading habits, then you automatically get a lot of vocabulary. But if you don't have a reading habit, then try to try to see what kind of words you can use in your IELTS, because right now you're focusing on IELTS, right? It's not a normal writing somewhere. So try to see what more words you can use, which is not informal, right? Which is not a slang, which is more formal. Try to learn those words then.
Right. Due to the constraint of time that we have, we'll take two more questions. We'll take one from Mansi and another from Deepti. So Mansi, please go ahead and ask a question.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. So my question is regarding the body language, as in when we are facing the speaking examination and the examiner is there, what kind of expression do they expect from us? Are we supposed to act too formal or a bit informal? Oh,
Okay.
how are they going to judge us?
So, as per my experience, I would say I have a habit of using my hand gesture, right? And it should be like, you don't be like try, like for example, if something you want to explain something sad moments, right? Try to have those emotions there, right? Like your voice would be down or something, and something when you're talking about something excitement, right? There's something happy you want to share a news. Just take it as you're sharing with your best friend, right? You're just excited. Try to show that excitement when you're talking about those kind of sentences, right? So it's very important, because that's how it connects you, the speaker. It will connect you with the person there, and they will okay now they will know that you can share, you can, because what they want to know is, are you able to speak in front of other people, right? Are you able to share your emotion? Are you able to say your words? Are you able to communicate better or not, right? So in that way, it's better to use your emotion when it's required, right? Maybe if it's a sad moment and you say in a plain voice, it doesn't matter. So try to have those encouraged wherever it's required.
Right. So basically,
yeah.
Basically, work on your voice modulation and hand gestures, so that
exactly.
Voice modulation, I understood. And what if I am using too many hand gestures? Because in corporate, most people, they all say that you are not supposed to be using your hands, you're not supposed to be moving your eyeballs, you have to have a direct eye contact. But it happens when we are going down to a memory lane, or maybe we are expressing ourselves. So it is just a psychological fact that we are tend to look here and there.
Right. So there are
is that okay?
Somewhere I would not say every time you're just looking somewhere else, not at the examiner. So try to look at it, because see, if you went somewhere, just try to connect again with him. That okay, I went, I came back, right? So this way it will show that you were actually expressing something, what you wanted to say, and you are actually connecting with it. And I think you asked something else exact in front. The first one.
No. I was asking this only.
Yeah. So on hand gesture, it's I know in corporate it's different, but here they are trying to understand the way you're speaking. It's not what you are actually. So somewhere it's fine, like little bit of you. If you doing a lot of, then I don't suggest that. But if you have a habit of doing a little bit, then it's fine. I don't think it will be an issue with you, because I scored it fine 7. I was happy with it. So yeah.
All right. So we'll take one last question for today. Unfortunately, this because we're short on time. We'll try and incorporate more of you in our next YouTube live session, so that you can have all your questions answered, any doubts and queries that you might have from here on answered, and no stone left unturned in terms of your pursuit towards your IELTS exam. So we'll take one more question from Deepti. Please go ahead and ask a question.
Okay, Ravi, I want to ask you one thing, that since you have been with LeapScholar, share one tip with us that you learned in LeapScholar and you think that it is going to be, very important for everybody who's going to write the IELTS exam. So any one thing which you would like to share with us?
I would say it's a connection, because the way LeapScholar connects with you, try to connect with your exam with IELTS, right? Make sure that you give your best. So when you talk about LeapScholar, in different way, like it's not only about the tutor or the classes, it's about the way they handle their queries, right? They make sure that on each step you're getting the right guidance, right? If you have some question, there are someone who can help you out in that way. And even after that, it's just I'll give you an example. When I came back with my exam from after my speaking exam, I connected with Manisha ma'am to know to discuss something. Like for example, I spoke a lot in task 1 and task 2. That's why I would say the tutor was showing me hand gesture to like maybe 1 or 2 line I was speaking task 3, and she was like, okay, just stop it, let me, because she has to complete some questions, right? So that was her. So I was scared because they just record it, and they're showing if I'm stopping it after 1 sentence, 2 sentences, I was scared because I get the right score or not, because I was not speaking that much. But then I checked with ma'am, and ma'am make sure that we understood what's the situation, because I was the last one that day, and there is a time given to every slot, right? 15-20 minutes. So they have to cover it up, everything in that. So if there are certain questions they have to ask, they have to cover it up. So if you spoke a lot in task 1 and task 2, they tried to cover it up. So that's why they saw it. So that's how I was like, okay, I was feeling better afterwards. So this is what it's about, connection, right? It's about being there when you require. So with IELTS, I would say, have a touch, like make sure you give your best, learn whatever you can, because there are a lot of things which you can learn from IELTS exam. It's not just the exam. You learn a lot of new things.
Thank you, Ravi, for that
Thank
answer.
you.
And I hope Deepti, your question was answered to fulfillment. Anyway, we've run out of time, so we'll have to wrap up the session right here. And thank you, Ravi. Thank you for taking out the time to join us today for this session and to answer all the questions that we had here on YouTube and to our students right here. And thank you, Deepti, Mansi, Meghna, Vincent, Vinay, for joining us today here for this live Q&A session. And I hope that we were able to help you with any questions, queries, and doubts that you had regarding the IELTS exam. And we hope to see you again on these live sessions that we are going to conduct from here on for time to come. Thank you to everyone who joined us today here on YouTube for the live session. I hope we were able to take your questions here. And please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to IELTS Prep by LeapScholar on YouTube, so that we can keep bringing you good, insightful content to help you with your IELTS journey. And thank you. We're going to wrap this here now.